Welcome to the Coldiron Gridiron, where every sport gets the cold iron breakdown. Yo, what up everybody, and welcome back to the Coldiron Gridiron. I am your host, Zach Coldiron, and I'm here with my little bro, Sean.
Hey man, blessed to join you on another week here on the podcast, Coldiron Gridiron. Got a lot of unfortunate news to cover this week, but we can only keep our heads up and look forward to the rest of the year. A lot of weeks to go,
Yeah, man, there's a lot of football still to be had, regardless of how everything has gone so far. You know what? We got to keep our chins up. We got to keep pushing forward. Before we get started with this episode of the Coldiron Gridiron, I want to give a special shout out to my pops, Sean's pops as well, Charles Coldiron. Thanks for being an avid listener to the podcast. We love you, man, and appreciate you. Also, shout out to my mom, Heather, who also listens to the podcast as well. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll try not to cuss as much. Psych, I can't guarantee that crap. Sorry.
Yeah, I love them both, man, and we love everyone that supports and tunes in every week and listens to us just ramble on about a bunch of bullshit. But hey, there's the first cuss word count of the day. Number one.
You know what? I think going forward for the next episode, we got to have a cuss word counter. And, the person who cusses the least gets, $5 from the person who cusses the most.
I like that. We should definitely implement that, little swear jar kind of deal there.
Yeah, man. You did bring up the word bullshit earlier. Do we want to talk about the Chiefs-Bengals game first?
Yeah, I mean, we might as well, do that first. I mean, it's, very unfortunate situation. It left a bitter taste in my mouth, so... Yeah, I say we start with the bad and end on a light note here.
All right, so some of the bad takeaways of the game, I would say, at least from someone who watched the game from kickoff up until the final field goal that Harrison Buttkisser fucking chunked through the field goal. I don't know.
Two cuss words right there.
We're not counting yet, right? We said this is going to be next episode. But, dude, the officiating in this game was horrendous. And it seems like every time the Chiefs and the Bengals have a matchup together, the officiating is absolutely abysmal.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do believe, and I think a lot of other NFL fans, across the league, other than Chiefs fans, can agree that, officiating did play, a big factor into the result of this game. Although I know Evan McPherson probably should have made that extra point, I believe, and it was the third quarter of that game. Obviously, if he would have made that, that would have been a game-tying field goal for, Bucker in the final moments there. And obviously that game would have gone into overtime. And, we don't know what the, result would have been, if that was the case. So obviously there was a lot of failures on not only the officiating side, but the Bengals side as well. And even with, Patrick Mahomes and the offense, I mean, Patrick Mahomes just looked terrible out there. He just couldn't find his rhythm. He's not finding Kelsey like he was last year. And he ended up with a career low passing yards in a single game since he's been in the league. And that just, shows a lot for the Bengals defense.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm not going to give him a shout out, but ex-user BDC_NA said that the Burrows, defense has always bailed him out and is the reason he got to the Super Bowl. I don't think that's necessarily true
calling him out
at all. Yeah, I'm calling this dude out. Because, dude, let's be honest here, man. The Bengals, yeah, they have a solid defense, but the turnover game is what wins football games. If you as a person on offense can secure the ball and prevent it from being turned over as much as possible and take those opportunities to score as much as possible, you're going to win the football game. Football is not a single-player game, and that's what these stupid, airheaded idiots need to learn, is that football is a game made of teams. So this guy with his EDP burner account needs to shut up, smoke a blunt, and chill out because, dude.
Yeah, pal. Eat a cupcake.
I'll get into this later. We'll get into this later because it's gonna be related to the question of the day today, which, by the way, we're gonna start doing. But going back to the officiating in this game, dude. How many passing interference calls were we gonna see? And I'm not saying that all of them were passing interference. There were some that weren't. Like, to be honest, I think it was when Jamar Chase and Trent McDuffie were going at it on the seam, going into Bengals territory. Jamar clearly pulled him down. I do not care what anybody says. Jamar pulled him down. Now, was that smart offense? Absolutely. No, that was never smart. It was. I think it was smart to pull him down in that moment because it made it look like that Trent McDuffie pushed off of him to knock Jamar down. Now, was that pass catchable? Absolutely not. I don't even think that flag should have been thrown. Now, did it help the Bengals? Absolutely. Am I going to complain? No. But calls went both ways for this game, and I think Zach Taylor said it best, man. I think the officiating was fair on both sides. How do you feel about that?
I do agree. Other than the last play of the game, I know we're jumping to the gun pretty quick with that, but obviously, I mean, it was a defensive pass interference. Yes, clearly, we saw that. A rookie guy, I believe he was a 5th, 6th, 7th. He was a late round pick this year. I do not know why Anamuruo Taylor did not have Sam Hubbard on the field, Logan Wilson on the field for that final play. I mean, you need those playmakers out there in order to succeed in those late, milestone moments in the game. Obviously, again, clearly it was a defensive pass interference, but looking at the, Chiefs O-line, I mean, they were putting everyone in a chokehold just about, and that should have ended in offsetting penalties, or the refs should have just, let them play out. But obviously they were terrible on both sides of the ball. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go any further into going after these refs by names and grabbing them by their necks and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's a loss. It's official. Nothing you can do about it. And we just got to finish strong. We have to finish strong if we want to make it back to the Super Bowl and make a statement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we got to make a big statement for the rest of the year. I mean, the Bengals have notoriously had a slow start ever since the Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor era. And you know what? Every time we start this record, not going to lie, man, we have these great comeback stories. And yep. I fully, the Bengals, and no matter, and this is going to transition very well into what I want to talk about next, the difference between an 0-2 Bengals and an 0-2 Ravens, right? The Bengals, they did not look great week one. I'm going to be honest with you. That was some of the most horrendous football I've ever watched in my life. But these Bengals this week, they learned their lesson because they got, the Patriots had their fucking fists in their throat. They adapted, came back, ready to face the greatest team in the NFL today, and gave them fucking work. So if you can tell me that the Bengals are 0-2, they've played two teams that are undefeated, bro. Two teams that are undefeated.
4-0, 100 winning percentage. Again, it's still early. I do believe the Patriots actually lost last week in overtime, but I mean, still, that's a 3-1 record. Still hard to, I mean, that Patriots defense is just fantastic all around. I do believe the the passing side of things isn't too well. They're giving up a lot of passing yards, but that rush defense, can, and it really is, scary and could help, that Patriot team, potentially fight for a wild card spot.
You say fighting for a wild card spot, man. I truly think that they could win the division.
That is a very interesting take. I mean, with the Bills, the way they're playing, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I know he's still trying to, find his rhythm. He really hasn't played a game in over 2 years. And the Dolphins, man, without Tua, there's not going to be a lot of success there.
Yeah, the AFC East is just surprisingly competitive this year, man. I honestly, it was a pleasant surprise to see the Patriots come in week one and beat the Bengals. Because let's be honest, everyone and their mom is like, Bengals, Bengals, Bengals when it came to week one. Now here we are approaching week 3. The Wednesday before the start of week 3, and we're over here like, oh shit, Patriots might be legitimate contenders.
Yeah, looking ahead at their schedule, I mean, they do got a game tomorrow night against the New York Jets, then a follow-up game with San Francisco. That's going to be a tough matchup. I know they may have gotten exposed this last week with Minnesota, but man, do they look good. It's tough to see Justin Jefferson go down, but looking at ahead, I mean, they got a pretty tough schedule with the Texans. Tua might come back. You know, you got the Bears defense. They look fantastic. You got the Colts. You got the Bills twice at the end of the year. And who knows how well, you know, Josh Allen and Pack is going to be, you know, during those, you know, week 16 and week 18 games. Yeah. So they gotta continue to fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, we all know that on the first episode of the podcast, I gave Josh Allen some shit about his turnovers and shit. You know how many turnovers he's got this year, bro?
Settle, my friend.
Yeah. Josh Allen, I commend you for putting my money where my motherfucking mouth is, man. Good for you on having a good year. I want him to prove me wrong. I like Josh Allen. I like the Bills. But I will say, in the past, he does have some of the most turnovers. You know, from any quarterback who started when he was drafted. I think he was drafted in 2019. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that shit. But prove me wrong. And you know what? I at least have some goddamn accountability where I'll admit I'm wrong. And I was wrong about that.
That's a man right there.
Okay, so we were talking about injuries for a second there. I kind of want to transition to that because this was a big injury week. And yeah, I really hated to see it. And it started on Thursday night, man, with Tua Tagovailoa. And that was just rough to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not the first time we've seen him go down like that. You know, basically almost seizing. I mean, that right there, I mean, you could tell he lost consciousness. And he really needs to learn how to protect himself. I'm kind of surprised he landed on the IR. I mean, I know it's a pretty severe concussion, but 4 weeks seems, you know, pretty extensive if you're thinking about it. I mean, typically, you know, concussions last 2, maybe 3 weeks max, but, you know, 4 or potentially even more like that. I mean, he had a lot to think about. I'm surprised he didn't, you know, consider retirement. He you know, good on him. He's a strong dude mentally, physically, and he wants to continue to fight and be a top contender.
Yeah, man. Tua Tagovailoa is a dog, man. Ever since his college days, man, I've followed him for a long time. I commend this man's effort to want to stay in the game. That's an absolute dog right there. And yeah, you say it's a little surprising that he's on the IR. As someone who's probably had concussions in the double digits, I'm not surprised in a way because I think you remember when I was doing pro wrestling for a little bit and I had that lip injury. So I also had a concussion during that lip injury. I had brain fog for
I mean, you were knocked unconscious, man.
I had brain fog for months. I'm not even playing. Like my motor skills were slow. I was not 100%. Like, I think it was probably for the best that they put Tua Tagovailoa on the IR, man, and they should put him there for the foreseeable future. Now, the Dolphins, they made some great moves for quarterback. They got Snoop. I really like Snoop, even though he was a dirty rat bird.
Yeah, he you know, fought in that 2022 you know, wild card game against the Cincinnati Bengals. He really, you know, put up a fight against a fantastic team. It was an unfortunate event, obviously, on the Ravens side to, you know, see Sam Hubbard recover, you know, a 98-yard touchdown, you know, to the house, which ended up saving the game. That right there, to me, is the greatest moment, I think, in Bengal history to this day. I don't think it's the Evan McPherson kick, you know, sending us to the Super Bowl, because obviously, I mean, we got a participation trophy at the end of the day. But, I mean, that right, I even remember, I think we got so loud in the house, our Apple Watches were saying, the decibel rate's too high, move to a quiet place. Fuck no.
Like, don't tell me what to do.
That moment right there will forever be embedded in my brain. Yeah. I mean, I wish I could relive it.
Yeah, I mean, that 2022 playoff run, man, that's just like, that euphoria just hit way different. Life was fucking nuts back then, man. And you know what? Something tells me I can smell it. That people say, oh, the Bengals window's closed, man. It's closing or whatever. I don't think that's true, man. I don't think that's true at all. I think the Bengals window is strong right now. Especially if you can sign your fucking best player. Please, for the love of God, I have a personal message for fucking Mike Brown right now. Sign Jamar Chase now! Fucking do it! You're gonna save so much money! That's all I had to say.
No, I agree. Obviously, the contract talks are not going to be, ongoing during the season here. But I think he's going to be a keeper. But, back to the injuries, man. I mean, Pacheco, that was a huge, huge loss for for Kansas City. I mean, 6 to 8 weeks without your star back. I know the Gator guy obviously looked good. He did lose a fumble Sunday, but obviously he's going to recover from that mentally, and he's going to want to hold on to that ball. They signed a female kicker. I mean, not a female kicker, Kareem Hunt. He's back on that roster. But, yeah, it was just tough to see, such a great guy go down. I mean, he was a 7th-round draft pick, 2 years ago, and he has a bright future ahead of him.
He really does, man. And, dude, see, he's a dog, man. He just kept running and running up until literally his leg gave out and he couldn't anymore. I saw him walk to the sideline. He just fell on his ass. I'm like, yeah, this dude's going to the blue tent. There's no way he's not going to the blue tent.
You can walk with a broken fibia. I mean, I'd cry like a baby, man. I'd be crawling.
And speaking of, someone did crawl on the sideline. Speaking of injuries, Amon-Ra St. Brown during the Detroit game this week. That was rough to see. He would
didn't seem too major. I believe it was just cramps and maybe some sort of bruising. I'm not too sure, but he did show up questionable this week on the injury report. But I could see him starting. Although I don't know any insider reports, anything like that. But it's tough to see him go down, and it's a shame the way Jared Goff has been performing this year. I truly hope he finds his rhythm, soon.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes, just like Joe Burrow and the Bengals, man. It takes a couple of weeks for you to find your rhythm, especially when you don't start during the preseason and your week one's basically your first reps of the year.
Preseason still in my head, I think.
In a way, yeah. To be honest, they should do away with preseason, but I think that's a different conversation we need to have. But man, just the injury bug. Like, we had Justin Jefferson who went down too, if I remember correctly. He had a knee injury or a leg, something revolving around his leg as well. It's like leg injuries were the big bug this week, man. Justin Herbert too. He had a leg injury.
Yeah, Justin Herbert also did go down. Unfortunately, it's a sad weekend for both Justins. I think fortunate for Jefferson. He did say it was nothing too serious, so I could maybe see him being out a week, 2 max. But Justin Herbert, he did get some X-rays after the game Sunday. I think he said he just got rolled up in the second half, and we're gonna find out more within the coming days. But I don't think they've released anything since Monday or Tuesday at all. So he showed up questionable on my fantasy roster. What's funny is I picked up Jordan Love. He goes down. I'm like, okay, Justin Herbert's available. Let me pick him off waivers. And then he goes down.
He goes down too.
He showed up questionable today. So, speedy recovery. Hopefully they can, get back on their feet soon.
Yeah, man, I really do. And to be honest, I'm about to mention the toughest injury for me to watch. And it was Joe Mixon of the Houston Texans. And it's not just because
he came back in the game.
The hip drop tackle. Throw the fucking flag, bro. Every single thing about that tackle screamed hip drop tackle. And if you're going to make it illegal, throw the fucking penalty flag, dude.
Same with the McDuffie Chase situation, man. I mean, the NFL, I'm just going to keep it short. Joe Mixon said it best. NFLPA, put your money where your mouth is. Come on. Do your job. Do your part. And prevent these injuries from happening.
Yeah, they care about player safety so much, but here they are. Rolling dudes up on their ankles. And anybody who says that Jamar, I do think he overreacted and was acting super unprofessional. I think there's a certain way you have to conduct yourself, especially as a leader of a team like this. Especially when you're talking to the officiating crew.
Not only does it affect him, but it affected, the whole team. I mean, you never see Joe Burrow, lose his cool. I mean, he was literally pushing him away from the ref. Although the ref did, use some pretty foul language. He said, "Get the fuck away from me." Obviously, if someone's going to say that to me, I ain't going to get the fuck away from you. I'm going to get right back in your face.
No, absolutely.
But, no, that kind of energy, does bring the team down. And obviously, it affected the outcome of the game.
Yeah, and it was a hip drop tackle, man. Look at every single detail about what a hip drop tackle is. He literally spun him around, landed on his hips, could have easily rolled up his knee, his ankle, and caused a season-ending injury. Yeah. Now, luckily, Jamar Chase put a $50 million insurance thing on himself. Very smart move, by the way, to protect your career and your money. We already know how I feel about that, but seriously, these guys got to throw the flag in these situations. If they really say they care about player safety that much, if you lose a star player like Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Justin Jefferson, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa. You're, as the NFL, think about it, you're losing money, bro.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I don't know if there's a way you could put a picture of something on this, but I mean, you could literally clearly see McDuffie pull him down, and there's a frame where you can see Jamar Chase's legs going right under McDuffie, and if he drops even lower, his leg's done, and Jamar could be out weeks, if not for the rest of the year. So they really want to implement, this, ban hip drop tackle. Throw the flag. I mean, these refs are blind as fuck. Stevie Wonder's out there fucking officiating every damn game.
Yeah, man, and they'll always give the Chiefs a 5th down in the AFC Championship game just because they want to fucking give it to them, dude.
They give them all. They give out so many cop outs for those fucking. Man, don't even get me started.
I like the Chiefs.
I'm going to be convinced that this NFL is rigged. I know it's not, but damn, come on,
bro. Like, I love Chiefs. Chiefs fans are cool as fuck. I know a good amount of them. But goddamn, bro, you have to admit at some point, like, they were being, like, the Bengals defensive line was being held almost all game, bro. Like,
absolutely.
It just, I mean, it is what it is. But I want to transition to another topic right now. I brought this up briefly earlier, the difference between the 0-2 Bengals and the 0-2 Ravens. So, this has been a big debate that I have seen on X recently. People are dogging the Bengals for being 0-2. However, the team that was destined to, be the best team in the AFC North this year is at the bottom in the shits with the Bengals. Now, losing to the Chiefs by 7, understandable. Totally understandable. It's the best team in the NFL right now. But losing by 3 to Las Vegas, I don't know. I think this is me personally. I think the Patriots are better than the Raiders. How do you feel about that? Do you think there's a difference between the 0-2 Bengals and the 0-2 Ravens?
No, I do think there's a huge difference. Obviously, there's a lot of hype around the Ravens. They went to the first AFC Championship, or their first AFC Championship game last year. 2-time MVP. There's a lot of struggles and there's a lot of questions in the air right now about the Ravens offense. I know Lamar is still kind of getting used to being more of a passing threat, obviously because you have Derrick Henry in the backfield. And honestly, he doesn't even look that great either. He's averaging 70 rushing yards a game. I have him in fantasy, and he's been, very disappointing. Obviously, he's gotten a touchdown each game, which is fantastic. And Isaiah Likely, it's unfortunate to see him go down. He leads the team right now in receiving yards. Apparently, Lamar likes his tight ends as well. But like you said, I do think the Patriots are a better team than the Raiders, defensively. I think the Patriots have a top 10 defense. The Raiders, on the other hand, have a very questionable defense. And this game was even at home, and it was another fourth quarter blown lead. The Raiders defense is abysmal. I mean, the only guy you have on that team right now is Max Crosby. He's getting old, and you got to question, how much longer does he have? And it was interesting to see, the Ravens go down. I mean, you got the Bengals who, almost beat the Chiefs, got caught. I mean, the refs kind of don't even. We're done with that. But Joe Burrow, man, he's got to find his rhythm. He hasn't turned the ball over, other than the fumble on Sunday that honestly costed us the game as well. But defensively, man, this Bengal defense has put up historic numbers. I do think the pass defense, if I'm not wrong, it has been. Gosh, I just lost my notes here. Yeah, they're top 3 right now in the league in both pass rush and or passing and rushing defense. And the fact that they're 0-2, it blows my mind. We need to find our rhythm offensively, and I do think that we will. I mean, week 2 beyond, within the last 3 years, the Bengals are 36 wins, 16 losses, and a single tie. Like we said in the beginning of the podcast, there's a lot of weeks to go, and we got to be optimistic.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm going to agree with you there. I think there is a big difference between the Bengals 0-2 and the Ravens 0-2. Obviously we both played the Chiefs. The Bengals had it a little closer. I think the Bengals defense looked more solid. The offense found its rhythm, I think, finally, against the Chiefs. And I think, honestly, it was a much better game than the Chiefs-Ravens game. I thought it was 10 times more of an entertaining game than what the Ravens did on opening night. And the Bengals, here's the thing. The NFL ruled that Mike Gesicki's catch should have been a touchdown. And the Bengals should have won 17-16.
Yep.
And this is confirmed. Now, obviously, you can't overturn the result of the game. Patriots won, and I'm man enough to admit that. But to lose to a defense like the Raiders and a team, let's be honest, has one weapon on offense, I think there's a fucking huge difference, man. Huge difference between these two teams. And you know what? Maybe this week on Sunday at 4:25, the Ravens make me put my money where my mouth is. But you know what I'm thinking is going to happen? I think Dak Prescott's a little angry because I think if I remember the Cowboys lost this week, they're going on a revenge tour against the Ravens. That's just personally what I think is going to happen. But we'll talk about that when we do our picks.
Yeah.
So before
I am concerned with CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons being a no-show at practice today. That could be a potential outcome, or it could affect the outcome of that game. But go ahead. I mean, I'm excited for, the coming week here. A lot of games to cover. A lot of interconference matchups this week.
Yeah, there is, and we'll talk about that when we do our picks. We do got two more things to do before we go over our picks, however. First things first, I want to talk about Sean's selections this week. Sean, what is your selections? And then we'll do my selections as well once you're done.
Well, this week, we will be attending the Denver Broncos Tampa Bay Buccaneers game at Raymond James Stadium. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock. Very excited for this game. And, how can you not make this more fun by not placing a bet? So I have a nice 2-leg parlay. Super simple. It's going to be Baker Mayfield over 10.5 rushing yards. That's a crazy line right now because he's gone over, I think, 18 week 1, and he had 21 week 2. And Chris Godwin, this could be a stretch. Anytime touchdown. That Denver pass defense is really, really good this year. That defense is, historically has always been fantastic. But with Rachaad White being questionable on the injury report this week, I do think Baker Mayfield and the Bucs are going to be pass heavy this week. And Chris Godwin is my favorite to score. These current odds right now, again, this is not financial advice. Never will be, never is. The current odds on this 2-leg parlay are plus 325, so go ahead and cash that in.
Okay. I think this is an interesting bet, and I'm glad we both took bets, that are going to be a part of games we're going to this week.
Oh, boy.
My selections, let me pull up my Hard Rock app. By the way, we live in Florida where this is legal. If you are in a state where sports betting is illegal, we highly advise that you do not sports gamble.
Hit me up. I could be your bookie. Just kidding.
He said just kidding. Emphasis on that. Okay, so I've got a 3-leg parlay at the odds being plus 378. They're all money line selections. So, Texans to win against the Vikings. Packers to win against the Titans, because the Packers are the underdogs for some reason. And the Bucs to beat the Broncos. Now, that doesn't mean they're my choices to win this week. But I do think this is potentially a lock. I threw in $5 in, $25.79 out with a 10% profit boost. I think that can hit this week, but time will tell. So, our selections are out of the way. I wanted to start a new segment, Sean. Question of the day. And it could be any question. It could be, for example, who is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL today? Is this week's question. It's a loaded one.
Well, I'll kind of want to hear yours because I think you already know my answer, and I can dig into that one.
All right. Well, as the EDP burner account, BDC_NA, likes to point out that, Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow. By the way, kiss my fucking cracker ass, because that is the most bullshit stuff I have ever heard. Now, let's talk about this. How many interceptions has Joe Burrow thrown this year? 0. How many has Jalen Hurts thrown? 3. And I've seen all 3 interceptions. Every single one of them was either an overthrown or an underthrown pass that should have been completed. If you cannot make these easy passes in clutch moments, what makes anybody in this godforsaken world think that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow? It's not true. Jalen Hurts is a rushing quarterback just like Lamar Jackson. Okay? He's got way more rushing yards than Joe Burrow does. But that's because Joe Burrow is a true NFL quarterback, has an insane pocket presence, scrambles and runs only when he needs to. Jalen Hurts, man, he's got all these freaking weapons, man, that he could throw to, and he doesn't even throw to them. This is why I understand why Lamar Jackson runs the ball. Because I'll be honest with you, what weapons in the wide receiver position do the Ravens have? Zay Flowers? That's it.
Isaiah Likely when he's healthy.
When he's healthy. Mark Andrews isn't getting the ball. But dude, look at the skill room in Philadelphia, man. They have one of the most loaded wide receiver rooms. One of the most loaded. Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown. Like Jahan Dotson.
I was going to say, forget about him. He comes up in big moments.
And then you got a check down guy in Saquon Barkley. Like, are you kidding me? You have Dallas Goedert. Yes, I was about to bring up Dallas Goedert too. So, BDC_NA, tell me how you can have so many weapons and not be able to have over 400 passing yards already. Please tell me. Enlighten me. And you know what? Call my ass out. Call my ass out. Tag me. Because guess what? Joe Burrow, 67.7% completion rating, 422 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 95.8 per QB rating. Now let's talk about your boy Jalen Hurts. Okay? 67.2% completion percentage. 461 passing yards. Yeah, that's more. But you couldn't even get more than 200 yards against the Falcons. He went 1 for 1 in week 1, then 2 for 2 in week 4. Yep. And you act like 84.2 is a bigger number than 95.8. So in what world is Jalen Hurts better than Joe Burrow? That's my take, man. I'm getting angry even talking about this. Let's pivot to you, man. The most overrated quarterback in the league. You said it was obvious. I'm not sure if I'm knowing where your mind's thinking, man. Where are you at?
Might be a little biased. Again, I know it's early in the season. Week 2. A lot of players are starting to find their rhythm as we head into weeks 3, 4, 5, and so on, which is where they, tend to get a little bit more comfortable. But my pick for the most overrated player currently is Lamar Jackson. Again, I know this year he is not used to throwing the ball like he is, but as a quarterback, that's, kind of your job. I mean, you have an elite running back, Derrick Henry, who can produce, who does produce, but you're 21st in completion percentage throughout 32 quarterbacks, and you're top 5 in pass attempts. You got Zay Flowers. I know Mark Andrews has been hard to find. Isaiah Likely, he looks fantastic when he's healthy, and he's a competitive guy. I know he's 5th in passing yards this year, but 16th in QBR, 18th in overall rating, 13th in total passing touchdowns. Again, I know he only has 2 passing touchdowns, big whoop. But, I mean, how do you blow a 10-point lead with less than 10 minutes left in the game against a mediocre defense that only has Max Crosby? Come on. Explain that to me. I know they have a tough game this week in Dallas, although Dallas did kind of look a little odd this past week against the Saints. The Saints, I don't know if they're a contender or a pretender, but this week it obviously sets the tone for the rest of the year, and it's a must-win for Baltimore. And if Lamar Jackson cannot continue to produce, these passing stats like he's supposed to as a quarterback, he might even be and will continue to be the most overrated quarterback in this league.
I think it's a hot take, man. I totally understand where you're coming from when it comes to being a clutch quarterback, but 520 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, that's not bad. It's not good either.
I mean, I might be a D1 Lamar hater, Dick Ryder, whatever, but like...
You Dick Ride Lamar? I think you're Dick Ride, the opposite of Dick Ride.
No, did he? That came out wrong, but you know what I mean. I got to see a lot more consistency from him before I can even put him back in my top 5.
Totally understandable, man. Totally understandable. Well, that's this week's question of the week. Stay tuned next week for next week's question of the week. I don't know what the fuck it's going to be. I'll come up with it on Wednesday morning because we don't plan this podcast until Wednesday morning. And we're just yapping about football all day. But, all right. Our favorite part of the podcast, which we are trying to figure out how we can get through this. So we're only going to talk about a couple of games, but we're going to tell you verbally all of our picks. So we are going to talk about some of the bigger games that are going to happen this week and get into some detail, but we won't spend too much time on this. So right now, Sean, how many points do you have, by the way? Because points, 1 win is 1 point, just so you guys know.
Well, last week was not better from week 1. Week 1 was, I believe, 8-9. This past week, or 8-8. And this past week, I was 7-9, so I'm up to 15 total points this year.
15 points. That's not bad. Week 1, I started off strong, 11-5. Last week was not my best week, 9-7, but we are at a total of 20 wins so far this go. So it's 20-15. We still got plenty of season left, man. So this $50 bet could go, either way. But that being said, without further ado, let's talk about some of the NFC matchups that we got going on. I'm not sure, and if you want to talk about a game, feel free to let me know, but I want to talk about the Eagles-Saints game first, and I'm going to lock in the Saints as my pick for this week. I think that Alvin Kamara looked great. I think that's going to continue, especially against this Eagles defense, and I think they're going to come out with the W.
Yeah, no, I think I could see the Saints winning as well. Pending, I know Alvin Kamara has had, some struggles with injury the last couple of years, but when he's healthy, man, does he perform. God, he put up 40-something fantasy points for me this week.
Yeah, man, absolutely. There's a lot of good things going on with Alvin Kamara. I really hope to see him succeed as much as possible. Hopefully he stays injury-free this year. Next game we got is San Francisco versus the Los Angeles Rams. I think the Rams are getting rammed with injuries, unfortunately. San Francisco too, but I have a little more trust in San Francisco to do the job this week. Yeah,
no, I agree. It's unfortunate to see my Pookie, and Cooper Kupp go down. With injuries. Hopefully they can get well soon. And the Rams were possibly a contender for me in the NFC side this year. But I'm going to lock in the 49ers, and it's unfortunate to see the Rams start 0-3.
Yeah, it really is, man. It really is. Maybe they'll bounce back. Who knows? But we'll see what happens there. Next game we got here is Detroit versus the Cardinals. Both teams, the Cardinals especially last week, looked absolutely stellar when it came to offense. But unfortunately, I think the Lions are about to bounce back after their loss to the Buccaneers this week, and I think the Lions are going to come out on top.
Yeah, Kyler looked fantastic. Perfect passer rating. Now he put Marvin Harrison to work. He had a fantastic first quarter, didn't do much the rest of the game, but this is a tough game for me. My mind, it's got my mind jogging a little bit here, but I think the safe bet is, going to be Detroit. They're going to want to fight for this win after taking a tough loss at home or against Tampa Bay.
Absolutely. So those are our NFC predictions. Let's go into the AFC because there's a lot of interconference matchups going on right now this week. Patriots and Jets. This is an interesting one maybe I want to talk about a little briefly. The Patriots, like I said, have really surprised me. Yeah, they lost to the Seahawks last week in overtime. But, man, for them to, stay in it, grind it out against the Jets, who have a pretty freaking good offense when it comes to, Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers, Lazard, and a great defense with Sauce Gardner kind of leading the pack there. I think the Patriots might get it done this week, man. And you're probably going to disagree with me on this one because I know you have the Jets in a lot of your predictions going far in the playoffs. But what do you got?
Well, I would hate to say that, but you are wrong. I do think the Patriots will find a way to take, the victory tomorrow. Jared Mayo really, stepped into the organization and is really, become a leader for, his team. Aaron Rodgers, when he does perform and puts up more than, I think, 20, 21 points a game, overall, he's pretty successful. I think he's like over 80 wins and 8 losses when it scores more than 20 points. But, man, does that Patriots defense, I think they're going to shut them down. And defense tends to win games. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Patriots to win this one.
Holy shit. We're picking the same. This it's probably bad for you because you have less points right now, but we'll see where this goes. This next one, maybe we'll have differing opinions on. We'll see. The Chargers and the Steelers. Obviously, the Chargers got hit by the injury bug a little bit, but I have no faith in 2 backup quarterbacks being in the quarterback room in Pittsburgh. I think that Pittsburgh is going to take their first loss against the Chargers this week.
Interesting. I'm going to switch it up a little bit here. Our first switch up of the week. I'm going to go ahead and take the Steelers at home. I don't know how Mike Tomlin does it, but that dude finds a way to just win. I seriously don't know how he does it. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Steelers to win this game to remain undefeated.
Okay. All right, the next game, the final AFC game, we got the Buffalo Bills with the Jacksonville Jaguars. To be honest with you, I have no faith in Trevor Lawrence, man. I think he's overpaid.
Hey, that's harsh.
Sorry, man. I don't think he can get it done. I think Josh Allen looks spectacular. So does the offense. Though the Bills' defense looks a little shaky. I do think they'll still get the job done. And I got the Buffalo Bills on top, especially because they're coming off an extended bye week.
Yeah,
extended week.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Bills here as well. Trevor Lawrence really doesn't perform well on primetime games, and with this being one of the first 2 Monday Night Football games this week, I'm going to have to go ahead and lock in on Buffalo here.
All right. So, interconference matchups, man. We're going to start from the top. Green Bay Packers, Tennessee Titans. I'm obviously going to be choosing Green Bay on this one. I think that they have, even with Malik Willis and driver's seat, man, they look pretty good, man. And I'm not saying Malik Willis is a great quarterback. He's okay. I mean, he's in the NFL. He's obviously 10 times better than I'll ever be. But I truly think that the Packers have a nice young defense that has proven that they're extremely resilient. And honestly, I'm not very impressed with Mayo Boy, and I think that they are going to get it done.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Packers win this one as well. Will Levis has a lot to, learn still. With Malik Willis, facing his former team, he might still know a lot of the schemes and whatnot. I know with the new head coach, Brian Callahan, he might have switched things up a little bit, but I think the Packers will go ahead and take this one for the week.
Awesome. All right, so the next one, this is going to be a pretty good game. The Houston Texans at the Minnesota Vikings. Both teams have really, really impressed me. I'm not surprised by Houston at all. I'm a little worried about the fact that Joe Mixon might potentially be down. I'm not sure if I know he's listed as questionable, but when leg injuries, man, especially as a running back, that's something you got to be at least a little concerned about. But on the flip side, Minnesota's missing out on Justin Jefferson potentially with his leg injury as well. I'm a little more. I think this is going to be a sling fest, man. I literally think it's going to be C.J. Stroud and it's Sam Howell, right? He's the quarterback for Minnesota.
Sam Darnold.
Or Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He's like, let's be honest, not like a big name quarterback. No offense. I'm not going to know his name off the top of my head. So sorry for butchering it. But I have more faith in C.J. Stroud, man. He looks fantastic this year. Clearly a top 5 quarterback in the league. I think C.J. Stroud's going to walk away with this one, and so are the Houston Texans.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think this is going to be my firm lock of the week. I'm going to go ahead and take the Texans on the road here in Minnesota.
This is your lock of the week. Interesting. Okay. Because I know we have our sleeper, lock, and game of the week, and we haven't mentioned any of those yet. Maybe they'll be coming up here shortly. So now we got that one out of the way. We have the Colts versus the Bears, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not really impressed with Caleb Williams. I'm not a Caleb Williams hater by any means, dude, but just hasn't really impressed me, at least on the NFL level. He didn't really impress me his last year in college either. And Anthony Richardson didn't look that good last week either. This is a tough one. I do think this is going to be a big defensive game because these two defenses, dude, they're fucking scary. They're scary defenses. But I do think the Colts will walk away with this one just because they have a little bit of better offensive firepower, and these defenses, they're pretty equal. So,
yeah, I agree. I'm going to go ahead and take the Colts, and I think it's the safe bet too, especially at home. You got more offensive weapons, like you said, with Jonathan Taylor, and I think Anthony Richardson obviously is a better quarterback. So I'm also going to go ahead and take the Colts here.
All right. Well, the next one is my lock of the week, everybody. This is my lock of the week. The game we are going to, the Denver Broncos at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No doubt, I'm locking in Tampa Bay as winning. The Baker looks good. Mike Evans looks good. The defense looks good. The Bucs look good. And I want an orange creamsicle jersey. Lock that one in, my boy.
Go Buck.
That's all he needed to say. That's all he needed to say, man. Oh, my God. We'll move on to the next game, man. The Giants versus the Cleveland Browns. I'm not impressed with the Giants, bro. Daniel Jones is not their quarterback. He seems like a nice guy, but he's not their quarterback. Malik Neighbors, fantastic week. And the fact he took the loss from week 4 and, like, he took accountability for it, even though he had a good game, even when he didn't need to. Dude, that's very commendable, by the way, to that young man. He's going to have a fantastic career. But unfortunately, I got the Cleveland Browns winning this one. Fuck you, Deshaun Watson. But unfortunately, I think he's going to get it done.
I'm going to switch it up a little bit here. I am going to go ahead and lock in on the Giants. Obviously not my lock of the week, Jesus. Giants are going to go ahead and pull this off. You have Myles Garrett, did not practice. I don't think he's going to play this week. Njoku did not practice. I don't think he's going to play this week. I know the Giants are going to be without Kayvon Thibodeau, but I could see the Giants going into Cleveland and possibly pulling this off. And there's been so many just interesting, weird games this year, and I think it's just this is going to be one of those games. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Giants, come out on top here.
Yeah, man. So we're a little different on some of these, but honestly, the games that we're different on could go either way. It really could. This next one, Dolphins coming off a little bit of an extended week, and the Seahawks. I'm locking in the Seahawks, man. Tua being out, that's gonna hurt the Dolphins way too much, man. I'm locking in the Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks are gonna pull this one, I think, off pretty easily, especially at home. I mean, it's hard to win in such a pretty loud stadium. So give me the Seahawks as well.
All right, Sean. This next game, I think I'm gonna throw you for a fucking doozy, my friend. I am gonna throw you.
The Red Rifle has returned.
The Red Rifle, baby. One of my favorite quarterbacks to watch play the game, man. And statistically, when he comes back from being like a second string quarterback and comes to play, he goes off. This is my sleeper pick of the week. The Carolina Panthers are going to win this game. Panthers fans, get hyped. I think you guys are walking away with this one. I think it's going to be close, but you guys are going to walk away with this one.
Yeah, I think I want to implement a new segment into the podcast here as well. Sean's Cracker of the Week, I think, is going to be Andy Dalton. Cracker and Ginger of the Week. Sorry, Zach. But, yeah, I'm going to take the Panthers here to win this one.
You know what? That's valid, man. That's valid. Andy, you know what? Andy Dalton is also my Cracker of the Week. We love Andy Dalton, especially as Bengals fans, man. And he did so many good things in Cincinnati. We love you, Andy. Thanks for being a great quarterback for Cincinnati for all those years. Next game, Ravens-Cowboys. This is a tough
game
one
right here.
This could go either way. It's a good game. It's not my game of the week, though. We've only got 2 games left to talk about after this one. But I'm going to lock in the Dallas Cowboys, man. Lamar's personally impressed me this season. I think the Cowboys are going to be a little salty.
Wow.
I know CD might potentially not play because he did not practice today. But I think he's going to play on Sunday, and I think that the Cowboys have a little bitter taste in their mouth after what happened last week, and they're going to come walk all over that Ravens defense.
I don't know, man. I mean, former MVP Lamar Jackson, he's off to an 0-2 start just like us. And if you really start 0-3, boy, is that going to affect the rest of the year. Teams, historically, statistically, have a difficult and even harder chance of making the playoffs when starting more than 0-3. I just don't see that happening to the Ravens. I think they're going to travel to Dallas, win big, just like what the Saints did to them last week. I don't know what's going on with Dallas right now. They're riddled with injuries with Micah Parsons and CD's nuts again, but I'm going to go ahead and say the Ravens pull this one off, unfortunately.
Okay. I think that's valid, man. The next game is my game of the week, which you would have told me a couple weeks ago this is my game of the week. I probably would have said, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? The Chiefs versus the Falcons. Bro, Kirk Chains is off the chain.
The dog.
Bro, I'm a big Falcons guy, right? I'm high on the Falcons right now, man. And week 1, they didn't impress me as much, but man, this game last week, holy crap, Sean. It was a fucking doozy. Now, do I think the Falcons are going to win? No. I think the Chiefs are walking away with this one. Pat Mahomes, I think, coming off a not so great week from a passing perspective. I know they just signed Kareem Hunt. I think they're going to be focusing on the pass game a little more this week, even though the Falcons secondary is absolutely disgusting. I do think that they're going to probably use a lot more of the running back screens and the little dump passes to the tight ends. I think that the Chiefs are going to walk away with this one. It's not going to be an easy one, though, but it's definitely my game of the week.
Okay. Well, I've already given you my lock of the week. Texans, right?
Correct.
This is going to be my upset pick of the week. The Falcons, and I have been calling this since the beginning of the year. I shout out to Ray. I love this website. I always get excited every May when the NFL releases the schedule, and I just have so much fun with this. I go into this website every day, come up with scenarios, what's going to happen, da-da-da-da-da. Each time, week 3, the Chiefs always lose an early season game. 2 years ago, it was the Colts. Last year, it was the Lions. I think this year it's going to be with the Falcons. Watch out for Jesse Bates. You said it's going to be a pass-heavy game. Jesse Bates is that guy. Kirko Cousins is that guy. I think the Falcons have a chance here, and I think they're going to win at home and upset the Kansas City Chiefs.
You know what, man? Like I said, this is why it's game of the week. It could truly go either fucking way. I think it's a viable pick, man. Last pick before we end off the podcast today. And it's ironically when we're looking at this list and we're going down, the Bengals is the last one. I'm sorry. Joe is on his revenge tour right now. He's Batman. He is vengeance. I don't think he's going to take very kindly to losing to Pat Mahomes. That anger is quelling deep inside him. I'm not saying they're going to walk away with this win, but they're going to win.
Who they think gonna beat them Bengals? Who they think gonna beat them Bengals?
Nobody.
Give me the Bengals. No way, Jaden Daniels is. I mean, he might run all over us, but our defense right now, absolutely elite. We have to win this week. There's no way. And with the Panthers the following week after, I'm gonna lock this in right now, bitch. Fuck Andy Dalton that week. He is not my cracker of the fucking week that week. You're going down, pal. We're going to be 2-2. Mark my words.
Well, we'll see how this plays out, how it pans out, and how it will go. That's going to be all for this week's episode of the Coldiron Gridiron. Make sure you guys check us out every Thursday. We probably would post anywhere between 3 and 5, so make sure you guys follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora. You can follow me.
OnlyFans.
Maybe soon. You can follow me on Instagram at ColdForgeSteel, and you can follow the podcast at the Cold Grid Pod on X. And then you can follow Sean on X at SPCold69. Anything that you want to address before we log off for the evening and shut off the lights to the stadium?
No, man, I just want to give a big shout out to all of our listeners. We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week and, having to, again, hear us ramble on about our bullshit, man. We love you guys.
Yeah, special shout out to the fans, man. We love you guys. Yeah, and there's not many of you, but we love each and every single one of you for just taking the time to listen. That's all. Who Dey Nation. We'll see you guys later.